We lost a man not too long ago, Tony, that is certainly, I think, one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling history. Someone that I think in wrestling lore here in the United States is very much underappreciated for some of the great work he did in the land of the rising sun, Japan. I'm talking about the destroyer Dick Beyer.
Wow. Now, you know, I didn't know that.
I didn't tell you that he passed away?
I remember you, I think you did, but it slipped my mind. But
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about a guy that got a long history as wrestling. I mean, he goes all the way back to the 60s, the 70s.
Before, yeah.
Way before. And Dick Beyer, I mean, he used to go to the Hall of Fame up in Amsterdam, New York, and he was there all the time. I mean, you talking about, I don't know that much about him because he was a little bit before my time, but I have met him on several occasions and a very interested person. And when you hear about guys like Dick Beyer who have did so much, there is so many stories that was never told.
Right. I would have, again, loved to have had him here. How often do I say that?
And you know, Dick Beyer and guys like Ox Baker. Ox Baker told me some story. I go, wow, you know, the way things was and what the wrestlers could do. So, you know, when you got guys that come out of the 50s and the 60s, I mean, that when wrestling was wrestling, I mean, these guys was special.
Yes.
They're very special people. Even when you meet them today, you notice it's something about them that, just like the guy you talking now, the guy that just beat Brock Lesnar.
You talking about Kofi Kingston?
No, here we already got
Seth
him.
Rollins?
Oh my goodness.
You don't like Seth Rollins?
Well, I ain't saying I don't like
the presentation of him.
Yeah.
Why don't you like the presentation
well,
of
you
Seth
remember
Rollins?
they used to have this Hercules. See, first they had Steve Reeves to play Hercules.
Yeah.
Then Gordon Scott played Hercules. Well, they looked like Hercules. Then they got this Hercules was coming on TV with Xena. I said, oh, wow, I love Hercules. I got to see this. Then a little skinny 180-pound guy come out with hair on the chest. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking
series
about.
they put on
the TV series, yeah.
I can't watch it.
And that's how you feel with Seth Rollins as champion. Now, is Seth Rollins as champion or Seth Rollins, period?
Well, when I see Pee Wee Herman playing Superman, it's just something wrong with that. He looked like Pee Wee Herman to me.
Seth Rollins?
Yes.
Now, I tell you, height-wise, he's right around my size. He's not a slight guy.
But what do he weigh, 180, 190?
I've never been on the scale with him, but...
But when I look... I
understand your point of view.
I see Pee Wee Herman playing the Incredible Hulk. That's what I see.
Well,
I'm sorry, I got to go by what I see.
Dick Beyer was never thought of as Pee Wee Herman over in Japan. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Tony, but in a match he had with Ricky Dozan, it was seen by the television rating factored out to about 70% of Japan. Watch this match. That's more than what the Super Bowl does in the United States.
They had a lot of guys that didn't have height, but it was like, if you saw Mad Dog Vachon, I mean, he wasn't no 6-foot guy, but when you look at Mad Dog, he was a fire plug. Dick Beyer was a fire plug. I mean, you know, these guys was as wide as, like Alvin Puskey. He was not very tall, but he was as wide as was high, you know? But it's something about a fighter and an athlete got a certain look about him that tell you that this guy is what he say he is. And when I hear the little girly voice, I'm sorry, it just don't do nothing for me. Now, Brock Lesnar I like.
I'm talking about Dick Beyer right now. He had the match with Ricky Dozan.
If you saw him in person in his heyday, you know, he was an impressive looking individual.
Great amateur background, great football background.
Yeah, what, 200, he was over 200 pounds
Absolutely.
in his heyday, yeah.
And the mask really made it for him.
Made it look like it. He had the missing tooth and you know, he looked like an old brawler or something.
And you want to hear a funny fact? He married 2 women, and both of his wives were named Wilma.
Well, I'll be done.
Now, how many Wilmas have you ever met in your life? Never mind be married to 2 of them.
Archie Bunker?
He was married to a Wilma? No, that wasn't her name, was it?
Edith. No, that was Edith. It was a woman. Who had one?
It was Edith.
Edith.
Wilma was in the Flintstones.
Yes.
But how many, other than Wilma Flintstone, how many Wilmas do you know?
That's it.
How many, can you imagine marrying 2 of them?
No.
Well, I just think that's kind of a fun
That's
fact.
amazing.
I used to.
But when you look at pictures of the old time wrestlers, I say the average wrestler during that period of time ranged between 230 and 250. So they were not small.
They weren't
men.
small people.
They were not small people. But these guys, they don't look like wrestlers.
No.
That's what gets me.
I agree with you.
They don't fit the part.
I think that's part of the reason why
It's
the
dropping.
overall popularity is down, is because it just doesn't look like professional fighters
Right,
in a
because
lot of
when you look
instances.
back
They don't
on-
look like they're meant to fight.
Where they
look
came-
like, I think Kevin Nash made a great analogy. He said a lot of them nowadays look like Abercrombie and Fitch models in little catalogs for clothes.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look back, like you take like the look at the Ultimate Warrior, and you look at Hulk Hogan, and
Ultimate Warrior wasn't very good, but he was a big, muscle-bound guy that looked like he could have a fight.
Slooker and Lex Luger, and George the Animal Steel, and Chief Day. These was all big, impressive-looking men, and wrestling was always a big man sport. And when they started bringing in all the little people, you know, to me, like I said, Serena Williams is bigger and stronger looking than Seth Rollins. Now, when a tennis player got bigger arms than you,
That's saying something.
that's saying.
All right.
And, you know, I always say about the independence that makes me mad. I tell all the young kids, go to the gym, look the part. When I first started wrestling, I said, when should I know that I belong in this business? He said, well, let me tell you something, kid. He said, go and look in the mirror and you ask yourself, will you pay to see you?
Excellent.
And-
Excellent
Yeah.
point.
Will you pay to see you? And if the answer is yes, then yes. If the answer
You're
is
done.
no,
You're ready.
find
You've made
something
it.
else to do. And that's what ended up happening in the wrestling. They trying to push people on people that people can't really believe in. The world had opened up so much to what is real and what is not real. And in our day, we was able to get away with a lot that we are not able to get away with today because of technology and just the education of people are more educated about things that you can't pull the wool over people's eyes are so easy. And when you get, and when I walk into a gym, when I first started in the gym, if you had 10 people that was a member of that gym, that was a lot of people. When you watch Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1971, when he won Mr. Olympia, I think he competed against 5 or 6 people. Now you go to the Mr. Olympia contest, you're going to compete against 500 people.
Right.
So it's a different environment out there.
Sure.
And when a guy sat there, I took my wife, when I first met my wife, back in the early 90s, we took her to a show, a Tony Rumble show. And Tony was doing the show for Mario. He was the booker for Mario up there before Tony started booking. They did a little show in Lewiston, and I took my wife to it. And I asked my wife, as we drive back home, I said, what do you think of the matches? She said, now she was about 50 at the time. She said, I could whoop half of them guys. She went by what she saw.
And if that's
No
the
matter how
impression
much
it's
you
making
try to
on a
put-
50-year-old woman,
Yeah, that's the opinion of a 50-year-old.
Right.
She said, I believe I could whoop half of these guys. So when you ask the people to put down that money, they want to see something impressive. They want to be impressed. They want their money worth, you know? And then when guys come out and do more talking and do wrestling, and they don't look like they look like they couldn't whoop their way out of a wet paper bag. You know, I watched that little skinny kid in the ring the other night with the funny looking hairdo and the funny looking clothes, saying that he was WWE champion. I don't know what they doing.
all right, Tony.
Just so they could please a couple of liberals about having a black champion.
All right. Well, Tony, Dick Beyer indeed was a champion around the corner, around the world in Japan. He was Dr. X in AWA, and I enjoyed him being at the
And you know,
Cauliflower Alley
that
Club
Dr.
reunions.
S mask had to be one of the most popular masks that ever been out there. I mean, it was in the back of every magazine.
The Dr. X mask?
The mask,
He
yeah.
would take out ads and sell them. He was one of the first guys to really
Sell
figure
his
out how
mask.
to monetize himself, long before quote-unquote gimmicks were popular. He did very well for himself with
I
that.
remember if you look back in the 70s,
yeah.
in the old magazine, they used to have where you could buy a
He
Dr.
ran
S.
the ads himself. Smart guy.
Very smart.
Very smart guy.
The first guy to sell his own merchandise.
You got it. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Richfield Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio, Saturday, May the 16th, 1992. In the opening contest, Crush beat Kato. High Energy with the win over the Nasty Boys via countout. El Matador defeated Bob Bradley. WWF Intercontinental Champion Bret Hitman Hart retained the title over Shawn Michaels. In the main event, the Ultimate Warrior victorious over Papa Shango. Hacksaw Jim Duggan beat Repo Man via disqualification in the Legion of Doom with the win over the Beverly Brothers. If you were in Richfield live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and in our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.